Imagine you were in an accident, a serious accident, that you're going to take weeks or months to recover from, and that you might not recover 100% from. Now imagine that you can fix this problem quite easily. I think all of us would choose the quicker path to recovery. I know I would. Like, I get a simple cold and I'm like, oh my God, when am I gonna get better? Hate this stuffy nose and headaches. Stem cell research, although controversial, has many promises for the medical field. It has the potential to change the way we see illnesses and injuries, but the controversy lies on whether we choose to support embryonic stem cell research, and that varies based on an individual's opinion on the subject. Stem cell research is at the cusp of an ethical standpoint because, well, it's embryonic stem cell research because in order to get the embryonic stem cell, you have to destroy the embryo. And today, I will explain to you why stem cell research is an ethical dilemma, how stem cells work, the kinds of benefits we can obtain from stem cell research, and I'm going to give you some statistics about how Americans feel about stem cell research. I want you to start off by informing you about why stem cell research is an ethical dilemma. The reason that stem cell research falls into an ethical dilemma is because in order to obtain the embryo, you have to embryonic stem cell, you have to destroy the embryo. And people argue that by destroying the embryo, you are taking away the chance for that embryo to grow and develop into a human, and that's like taking away a chance of life. But it gets more complicated than that because destroying the embryo and taking away its chance of life, by destroying the embryo and taking away its chance of life, someone else might benefit from that embryonic stem cell, and that other person is already alive. They're just having a hard time because of illnesses or diseases. So it's really a double-sided coin. Whether or not stem cell research is ethical falls upon the person deciding. As Manali Oak writes on Bustle.com, some say that embryos are not humans. They also argue in favor of stem cell research, saying that there is some percentage of zygotes which do not implant and they are wasted, and they think it is a better option to use embryos for obtaining stem cells. Now, I would like to move on to how stem cells work. Leonard Zahn and George Daly, both medical doctors who study stem cells, explain on a video for the children'shospital.org that stem cells are like seeds, and they are the seeds that regenerate the tissues of our body. They go on to explain that there are two types of stem cells, embryonic and adult, and embryonic stem cells are special because they can give rise to any tissue in the human body, and they end up saying that embryonic stem cells are enormously valuable to the medical science. They also say that, going on the seed analogy, they say compared to a seed on earth, like an actual seed, it would be a magical seed because it can grow anything. So with further research of embryonic stem cells, it can be possible to manipulate the stem cell to form any tissue needed, and that could save a bunch of lives. And now that you have an idea of how stem cells work, we can move on to the types of benefits. Stem cells are being studied in order to make the most use out of their properties, but some uses have already been proven useful. According to a website called closerlookatstemcells.org, there have been great advances in treating diseases and conditions of blood system using blood-forming stem cells, and these show us just how powerful stem cell therapies can be. So there's an idea of how much stem cell research helps. The site also goes on to say that many potential treatments are currently being tested in animal models, and some have already been brought to clinical trials. And with more treatments being put on clinical trials, that means more possibility of gaining new treatments out of stem cells, and the number of benefits will just keep going up. I have given you a lot of information on what stem cells are and how they work, and now I want to give you an idea of how continuing this research, and now I want to give you an idea of how many people would want to continue this research and how many people would want to oppose it. When stem cells research first came out, more people opposed it because of the whole destroying the embryo thing, and it's like abortion. But a site called Research America did a poll in partnership with JC Analytics in August of 2012, and they asked, do you favor or oppose expanding federal funding for research using embryonic stem cells? The results came back saying 27% of people strongly favor it, 34% somewhat favor it, 11% somewhat oppose it, 13% strongly oppose it, and 15% are not sure. And what that means is that 61% of people were at least somewhat in favor of it, and only 24% opposed it. So in conclusion, embryonic stem cell research can prove to be the future of medicine, but it's still a controversial topic. However, more people are changing their view in favor of it as opposed to a couple years ago. It all comes down to whether you believe it is ethical or not. Would you rather help someone who has been through a lot in their life already, or do you make them call it quits because there's a chance for someone else to be born? So I hope that by now you are better informed on embryonic stem cells, how they work, and I hope I have convinced you that stem cell research is worth the time and effort. Thank you.
And let's see, we've got Cody.
Yeah. So you're speaking a lot better than I noticed you did in your previous speeches. You've gotten over a lot of the nerve issues as far as just talking, which is really good. You're not there's not as many nervous habits going on, so that's pretty good. The topic was really good. But I feel like the sources that you used and the way that you framed them were more in the vein of an informative speech at some points. I think you could have went on a lot more with maybe the positive benefits of stem cell research, and maybe had some examples, real life examples. I think you dwelled a little bit too much on the politics of it. It lent it to more being more of an informative speech. But overall, the organization was really good. You had you signposted really well. I think a lot of the filler stuff in between the actual resources that you used could have been developed a little bit more, and that's just kind of practice work, just talking more and practicing your speech. But other than that, it was a really good speech. It was really well thought out. You had a lot of good sources, and you used the sources well, and you cited them well. So it was really good.
Thanks.